Okay, so Be'ez Hashem, let's jump in. Last week we did, I think, the first page over here. Yeah, so let's turn over the page and let's start from Knesset Yisrael Hi Ben Zugech. Yeah, I think that's what we're up to, right? We didn't start this part. Okay. So look, the Heiliger Kluger says Rev Kluger, Rev Avram Tzvi Kluger. Shlita. Yeah. B'maimer zedavaras hashayches bein musagi hasimcha bein chasen v'kala v'ayitzia me'agalos el haguula l'bein knisas haShabbos. You remember last week we spoke a lot about the whole thing. Remember we spoke about quantum mechanics, about the idea of perception really freeing or changing the reality. We spoke about Shchinta B'Galusa, and why there are so many references throughout L'Chadaydi to the to going from a matziv of Galus, Rav L'Chshavas Be'emek HaBacha, right, and moving from that place to Karval Nafshi Ga'ala, to a place of Geula. And we spoke about Shabbos, which is the consciousness of Emunah. Mamish is the shift that's necessary in order to free the latent divinity within the world, which is all reliant on us coming to recognize it. Because again, the objective reality is already there. The question is how aware are we of it, right? And that's really what shifts the whole matziv. And we spoke about how that's also true with regard to our personal challenges and struggles and the way that we look at events and scenarios and mamish trach good. With positive thinking, and Zayin good, it can actually change the situation. So we spoke a lot about that last week, and now he wants to say what really is the connection between these two major themes. Theme number one, he lists it second here, but we spoke about it last week, like we just mentioned, Galus to Geula. But another theme throughout L'Chadaydi, of course, is Chassid and Kala, right? Yasis Alayich Alekaychim says Chassid and Kala. The whole concept of L'Chadaydi, Likras Kala, obviously the whole thing is built around the relationship between bride and groom, the Chassid, or the Kala and the Chassid. What is the connection between these two pairs of experiences, Galus to Geula, Kala and Chassan having yichud with the concept of Shabbos. Okay. So he's gonna get into that now. Yeah, he's gonna get into that now.
There's also there's a union of
Achas Ketana.
There's also union of brother and sister.
In L'Chadaydi Dafka?
No, just in general, the idea of
many different aspects of relationship. Yeah. Or over here we're speaking about the Dafka, what we find in L'Chadaydi. So he says like this. First, let's begin by understanding. Here you go. Thank you so much for coming. First, let's begin by understanding the concept of nisuin, that is in the Reishis Hayicha, the beginning of the marital relationship, Hamazgalo Meir b'Shabbos Kodesh, that is shining on Shabbos v'Yisoida b'Maim Rabbeinu Zal, and it is fountain in the Medrash Rabbah, that tells us famously the following: Amar Shabbos of Kodesh Baruch. Shabbos came before Hashem and said, and I remember even long before I started getting into Pnimiyus HaTorah, the first part of liturgy of our davening that ever really tickled me, like in a poetic way, and I was like, wow, that's a really beautiful concept. Thanks for coming. Was when we say in Shabbos davening, V'yom hashvi'i mishabeach va'omer mizmar shir liyom Shabbos. And I remember I was much younger, like I don't know, maybe 11, 12. And I remember reading that and being like, wow, that's beautiful. Like the day itself says Mizmar Shir Liyom Shabbos. Very poetic thing when a day doesn't talk. What do you mean? The Yom Hashvi'i Mishabeach Va'omer. Very, very beautiful concept. So over here we have the same dynamic in this medrash. Amra Shabbos Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbos itself comes before Hashem, and Shabbos says, like Shabbos is a being. It's a personality. It's not just a day, right? It's a spirit. It's a persona. So Shabbos says to Hashem, Ribono Shel Olam, the Master of the world, Lekulam Yesh Ben Zug. Sunday has Monday. Tuesday has Wednesday. Thursday has Friday. They all have pairs. But V'li Ein Ben Zug. Shabbos doesn't have a pair. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, don't worry. Your Ben Zug is not another of the days. Your Ben Zug is embodied in the spirit of Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael. Knesset Yisrael Hi Ben Zugech. Am Yisrael in and of themselves are going to be your Ben Zug. And based on the way that we just described Shabbos having a persona, Klal Yisrael is also. So it's just another dimension of reality. But in as much as Shabbos has a personality, meaning the collective hours, which are made up of minutes, which are made up of seconds, which are made up of milliseconds, v'chulei, which all come together to manifest different aspects of this personality that we call Shabbos. Same thing with Am Yisrael. So it's not such a strange thing to think, a day has a Ben Zug that isn't a day, because the day is not a day, right? Meaning it's not, and Am Yisrael are not humans, are not people. These are spiritual concepts. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shabbos, you're not part of the ma'arechet of days. It happens to reveal itself in this concept of the Yom HaShavi. But the truth is that Shabbos is the vessel, the container, just like our guf is a container for something that's well beyond it, that is a spiritual mitzias. And in that sense, because Am Yisrael are unique in our spiritual mitzias, to differing levels, depending on which tradition you follow, but to differing levels, Am Yisrael are unique in one way or another from the nations of the world. Right? Various ways of understanding that and what exactly that is. Okay? And Shabbos is unique from the days of the week. And in that sense, these two elements of uniqueness within their given respective structures, meaning Shabbos vis-a-vis time, Am Yisrael vis-a-vis created beings, humans, we are meant for one another. The collective soul of Shabbos, the collective soul of the Jewish nation. And that's what we say. I mean, like we say in the davening of Mincha and Shabbos, Ata Echad v'Shimcha Echad u'Mika Amcha Yisrael Goy Echad ba'aretz. All of these aspects of oneness, as the Maharal explains, I believe in his Hakdama to Derech HaChaim, which is his Pirush on Pirkei Av. It's very beautiful. Hakdama over there. So he speaks over there about he speaks mamash about the Shabbos Mincha davening. All of these aspects of oneness have a natural bond one with the other. So Mamela, now we can understand, Shabbos has as its Ben Zug Am Yisrael, not despite the fact that, oh my gosh, Shabbos doesn't have a Ben Zug, like there are no days left. No, Adarabah. In the sense that there are no days left and Shabbos stands alone, Mamela, it is naturally drawn to all other aspects of reality that have no partner, that stand alone. What, they have no partner? No, they are partners in aloneness or oneness. That Be'etzim is their connection. Memela, all of these aspects of singularity, another way of saying that, are reflective of the singularity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Memela, they are natural partners. Just a deeper Havan in the Medrash.
Well, there's a connection between this concept of Klal Yisrael being the Ben Zug and the bris being on the 8th day, and then a connection between Eliyahu Navi calling Matzah Shabbos, kind of on the bridge between the 7th and the 8th.
Very deep.
I wonder if there was some kind of connection there.
Very deep.
It's too coincidental not to be.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts, so I want to stay focused on here. Maybe I'll share them after. Okay. So Mamela, when we're saying, come, Daidi, the beloved Likras Kala toward the bride, which is Kilu Pnei Shabbos Nekabala, meaning come greet Shabbos. So it's a reference to the Chassan of Shabbos. Who's the Chassan of Shabbos in this context? Am Yisrael. So we are the Daidi. It's an aspect of Shema Yisrael Licha Daidi. We're encouraging ourselves. In this aspect, we're speaking to the whole congregation, and we're speaking to the aspect of the Daid within ourselves, where Shekin Klal Yisrael Hein Merkava L'Kudsha B'Richu. In this aspect, there are other aspects. In this aspect, based on this medrash, Am Yisrael are the Daid. We become the vessel for what's called Kudsha B'Richu, the transcendent aspect of the giver, the male, so to speak, aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's revelation, which we call HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the transcendent, purely spiritual mashpia, as opposed to the makabel, which is oriented toward the Shechina, right, which is within the created world that, so to speak, is plugged into that aspect of divinity that's the mashpia, that's the giver. So Am Yisrael, in this schema, are keneged Kudsha B'Richu v'ha-Shabbos u'b'darkas ha-Shechina Kadosha. Shabbos is our kala, hanikris kala. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's interesting because, like, in Nevi'im Achronim and Shashurim, where a lot of Chadidi kind of comes from,
Am Yisrael.
Am Yisrael, the color rather than the Chosan, and Hashem is the Chosan.
That's right.
And
That's right.
Like, that's
Yeah, I think he may address that as well. Okay, let's see, because he throws. I think he throws that in at some point. Yeah, it even more than that. It's literally, because I see that he's going to mention this on the bottom. Yasis alayich eloikoyich kimseis chasan akala, meaning the Chadaydi itself makes reference to Am Yisrael as the kala. Yes. Okay. Let's see how he lays this out.
We are mekablim, but we are
and mashpiyim. Yes, meaning in Kabbalah, in Pnimius HaTorah, particularly in the system of the Leshem, he mentions this a lot from the little bit that I've seen. Is the concept that's called erichin. right? Erechin means not like, Meseches Erechin, the concept of everything having a value, but Erechin meaning relative.
Order.
Everything is relative in the system of Kabbalah. So, for example, I'll just give you an example. Malchus of Bria is the Malchus relative to the structure of Bria. But that very Malchus becomes the Keser to the world of Yitzira, right? So it depends what angle you're looking at things. Kabbalah trains a person to think in a very nuanced way. Nothing is black or white. It depends. In relation to what? So this is a good example of that. And we've had other examples of this, I'm sure, in our learning. For example, one of the examples, Dafka, that I remember mentioning was the concept of Chachma. I think it was even you who mentioned, isn't Chachma Ayin, or isn't Keser Ayin? Remember we were speaking about that? Because I mentioned that Chachma is Yesh. I said, but really Bina is like begins to be Yesh. Remember, I think we had a back and forth about it. So Enechanami. Vis-a-vis Bria, Chachma is Ayin. Vis-a-vis Keser, Gevalt, Chachma is Yesh. Right? So everything is relative. And that's one of the beautiful things about learning Pnimis HaTorah, is that it trains us to think in a much more nuanced way. Not to jump to black or white assumptions. We stop and we consider a reality, and we look at it from different angles, and it's a much healthier, a much calmer, a much more contextualized way of approaching things. Yeah.
Merkava means usually cherry. Means
that's right.
A transmitter, right? Merkava is something which transmits.
Usually it means a chariot.
It's not a kli in itself, which is an end of means, right? It's something
Yeah,
to bring it to another place, no?
Well, you know what? That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that you're saying that, because isn't that exactly what we're talking about? It's a kli in one aspect,
yes.
But gevalt is it a mashpia because it brings that thing to somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Beautiful. So you're saying that's what he mentions over here. They are a mekava l'kutchabrichu.
Yeah.
Merkava in the sense that we are mekabel, but we
us.
become the aspect of the giver.
Yeah.
We bring the Eibush there where he wants
We have
to
the
come.
coin, right? It's like the
It's
coin, you bring
It's
it
the
in.
going, the
It's
moving.
motion. We're moving.
The
We're going
moving.
from
The
one place
coin
to
is
the next.
blessing others. So basically, also the Klal Yisrael is basically creating this holy world.
That's right. That's right. So in that sense, we're mashpia.
Absolutely.
But the world that we are given to fix, we're mekabel.
Yeah.
And this is how it works. Okay, let's. I want to try to move through this if we can. So he says, Am Yisrael are the kli or the merkava for the aspect of kutshabrichu that's called doidi. And in this aspect, Shabbos is our bride. So it comes Friday night. Where are we going? Gevalt. We're walking to the Kabbalah's Panim. Right? Am Yisrael are accompanying one another toward the bride. So in a certain sense, again, usually we think of Shabbos coming to us, but it's this very beautiful thing where by the chasana, the kala is sitting with all of her family, and then the chassan goes toward her.
But when we say Doidi, is it our friend or Doidi is Hashem?
No, over here in this aspect, we're referring to Am Yisrael.
Yisrael.
Because Am Yisrael are the Ben Zug. Knesses Yisrael u Ben Zugech. So again, in this aspect, Am Yisrael are the chassan. That's what we're trying to grapple with. Am Yisrael are the chassan. Shabbos is the kala. Where are we going? The chassan is going into the Kabbalah's Panim to cover the face of the bride before the chuppah. Okay.
So he's speaking to Chazot, is that Hashem speaking to us?
It's us encouraging one another. Just again, remember that this terminology is rooted in the Gemara, where yes, bai kala, but they would also go out, and so they would tell each other, "Let us go out." Bayu v'neitze likras kala. Right? They would say, "Let us go out." They would go to the Chakal Tapuch, and we had a shiur earlier in the series about that, very very deep. Right, the concept of malchus and the growing field and apples and esrogim. Had a whole shiur on that. Okay.
Where the Ari Ashkenazi now is in Sfas, that used to be outside of the city. That's where the Arizal used to go and with his Talmidim with Kabbalah Shabbos. So right outside of the Ari Ashkenazi, there is the.
There's apples there too?
Huh?
It'd be nice to be apples there.
Yeah, they're selling apples, but they grow somewhere.
Okay. Hein Regan Elu Hein Yitzia Nerishus Av Uknisa Lerishus Baal. Am Yisrael are taking possession of Shabbos in this moment. Shakali Yotzes L'chuppah Mechina Atzma L'yichuna Mechasin. Am Yisrael. The Kala goes toward the chuppah and prepares herself for that time of yichud. V'chein HaShabbos im Knesset Yisrael. And that's how it goes with Am Yisrael and with Shabbos. Very beautiful, no? Very, very beautiful way of thinking about it. Ki b'chol nesuei.
The Eibishter is giving over, okay, you're going out from my property, you belong to me, but now you're going to belong to the Chassid.
Right. So you're saying in this aspect, Hashem is like the father of
giving her
Shabbos.
away.
And it's giving her to us. And based on the way that you're saying it now, you can look back at the Medrash, and it's not just Shabbos to Hashem. It's a daughter coming to her father saying, "Gewalt, Rebbeinu Shalom, I have no chassan." And Hashem is saying, "No, I'm about to walk you to the wedding." Knesset Yisrael Yeh ben Zugech. Very powerful. In every aspect of Yichud, certainly with Chassan and Kala, but it's true in every relationship. That's really what we're learning on Monday nights with a woman of Yichud Espodidus. The whole thing is about relationships, Mashpia Makabel, right? So Misar ba'olam Yisal Yonim Yichud Kuch B'Richu Shchinte B'Darga Gavoya B'Yoser. Certainly by a wedding, when you have the chassan is literally the manifestation of the energy of the male aspect of the Tzelem Elokim, which is Kuch B'Richu. Kodesh Baruch Hu. And every kala is the archetypal manifestation of the Shechina, which produces this concept of the female, which is the receiver. And in their yichud, they're bringing about a yichud Kuch Baruch Hu Shechinte. Shekena kala hibitu lekoach hamakabel bebriya, because the kala is the concept, at least again in one aspect, and erichin, and in relation to the chassan in one aspect, she's the receiver bebriya. Which is that aspect of divinity within the created world that's being mekabel. And the chassan is the aspect of the one who is giving. In their yichud, from the moment of Arei Mekudesh Asli under the chuppah and onward, mevate comes to express la'orech kol chayeihem, as Hashem, long and happy life together, but savsa together as yichud Kuch Baruch Hu Shechinte. That is what it is. And if that's the chassan and the kala, that's what's happening on Shabbos in the great wedding of Am Yisrael and Shabbos itself. So now I think he gets into what we're saying, Ben. So let's go back to the other column. Yasas alayich alekoach kimsus chassan al kala. V'haven al pizeh. Based on this, we have to understand she'ikra simcha hamufleges hakayemes b'imei hanesuin. That really be'etzem, like the real truth of the incredible joy of a chasana and the Sheva brachas and the afruf and everything that and everything that goes into that. Shabayim akroivim v'hachaverim, that the friends and the relatives litol chelik v'simcha, everybody wants to have a part in the simcha. He al kach she'az bayim lasas v'lesmayach al bayis noisef b'Yisrael sheyifal me'ati yichudim al yonim el eila ba'olam. In a much more elevated sense, it's not just you're happy for these two people. Baruch Hashem, they found their bashert, which, as Hashem, we bless everybody who's looking for the bashert, that they should find the makar of mamish. Beyond that, though, it's not simply the more pragmatic joy. Oh, a relative got married, beautiful thing. It's much deeper. If you're plugged into the panemius and you care about the real purpose for the world having been created. So it's not just, okay, there happens to be a world and there are humans in the world and people could get lonely and it's very beautiful if they can get together and then they'll make a lot of beautiful babies and then Baruch Hashem, fill the world with humans. That's already a madriga also. But or some people just look for the sesame chicken, but a shmorg, that's their whole simcha. They're really excited about the deli roll. Okay, that's also a darga. Everybody has different dargas. Certain weddings in America are like mamish concerts. Speak about a concert. Literally like half the hall is just standing there, So there are different aspects of the wedding. Rabbi Nachman actually in the Kutumran Tinyana, Torah Samach, I believe, Samach or Samach Aleph. Rabbi Nachman has a whole Torah over there about it goes on the pasuk Vayichad Yisrael Kol HaTova, right, where Yisrael trembles. Right, Vayichad Yisrael was not trembling, was really rejoicing. But Rashi says Nasin Basar Chidudin as he got goosebumps. Al Kol HaTova, when he took a look at all the incredible miracles that Hashem is doing. But as Hashem, in the month of Nisan, we're re-experiencing those miracles for Am Yisrael. Says Rabbi Nachman, you know what it means much more deeply. You know what Darga Yisrael reached. And Rabbi Nachman gives the mashal of a wedding. Mamish, I made a joke before, but he says it exactly like this, explicitly. Rabbi Nachman says, when it comes to a wedding, different people have simcha from different aspects of the wedding. He says some people on the lowest darga are looking forward to the food and the music. Imam says. Some people a little bit more, they want to dance and rejoice. It's an exciting time. He says the parents of the chassan and the kala, their joy is so much more. They hardly eat. You think they're standing there in line for sushi, and their joy is so much more vast. But the joy of the chassan and the kala themselves, ein l'shayre, ein l'tayr. It's well beyond even what the parents are celebrating. But then he says, if a person is a pikeach, then they don't allow themselves to be drawn in by any particular chelek of the wedding, be it the food, be it the music, be it the dancing, or the joy of the parents, or even the joy of the chasana, but they connect to the holistic whole, the essence from which this whole thing is novea, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's manifestation in this yichud, which is producing the concentric circles of the simcha. And he says a person like this, who's connected to this aspect of the simcha, his simcha is one of in everything. So in the food, he tastes the joy of the chassan and the kala, and in the dancing, is connected to the joy of the music and of the parents. It's one thing. It's miksha achazat. Says Rabbi Nachman, that's what it means. Vayichad Yisrael. He learns it. I didn't see any other mefarshim that learn the word vayichad this way. Either it means to rejoice, or it means, like we said, Rashi chidudin. Says Rabbi Nachman, aloshan echad. He says vayichad Yisrael. Yisrael looked toward the achdus hapashat, the source, the point, right? The pintel kutchabrichu evishter. That's the nakuda of everything. Memela al kol hatayva. Yisrael was able to experience the totality. Very popular word this week, right? The because of the solar eclipse, the totality of the simcha. Vayichad Yisrael memela al kol hatayva. That's Rabbi Nachman's star over there. Ayin sham kedai seed inside. But al kol panim, a person that's plugged into the real panemius of it, and really cares about this world for Hashem, such a person has the joy of knowing that there's a new tikkun, yichud kutchabrichu shchinte, that's now been brought into the world. And that's going to be further misak in the world in such a way, with a new gile alikus in all bechinas, and is going to bring the world closer to the gula. That's the joy of a wedding. I'll just tell you, once we're speaking about what the real panemius joy of a chasana is, the Redemptive Rav in Kedushas Levi, in the section at the very end called Likutim, where it's just a collection of not random, but varied teachings that aren't exactly on a particular parsha or a particular masechta teachings. So the Heilige Kedushas Levi, the Redemptive of Levi Yitzchak and Sarah Sasha, Schusay Yagan Aleinu, the tzaddik over there writes, the Sanigor and Shal Yisrael. So the tzaddik over there says that the real joy of a wedding is, like the Gemara says, everybody knows, why a kala goes to the chuppah, right? Bez Hashem, people are looking for Zar Chai Shal Kayama, that they're gonna produce Daris Yisharim U'Mivarachim, like we bless the couple, Bez Hashem, right? So he says, the Gemara says, In ben David ba ad shetichla kol neshama shabaguf. Mashiach can only come when all the neshamas that need to be born are born in this world. Says the Heilige Berditchever, the joy of a wedding is the joy of the world now being one step closer to the Gula. Because now, as Hashem, new neshamas are going to be brought down, and the world is steadily coming closer and closer to the redemption. And this is itself part of Yichud Kutchabrichu Shchinte, you understand? This is Yichudim. This is Mamish Yichudim. Mamish Yichudim, in the most literal sense. A Yichud that produces a new Metzias. What is more godly than that? Unbelievable.
That's why
right?
That's why we break the glass like Zeichalachab, and that like this is what we're trying to
beautiful.
achieve.
This is what we're trying to rectify. Yefemot. Beautiful. Okay, back inside. The whole world is so thirsty. It's so thirsty. What is it thirsty for? In all of its thirstiness, in every aspect, the world is yearning for so many things. What is it yearning for? Be'etzem is the revelation of the Ar Haliki. That's it. Every aspect of Makabel in creation, without connectivity or connection to the mashpia, meaning in its relative framework, is starving and in a state of shame in a sense. But when that R comes down into that aspect of Makabel in every aspect, Hamashpia hareza avuroi keguula pratis mamish. Mamish. A person is in a state of personal gullus in every aspect. What does it usually mean? It means that we're lacking something. We're lacking something spiritually. We're lacking something emotionally. We're lacking in our health, chas v'shalom. We're lacking in our parnasa. All these things is a bechina of gullus, because we are not as we're supposed to be, right? Because by us, gullus is not simply we are not where we're supposed to be. That's obviously what gullus means in its literal sense. A nation is exiled from its land. But in a metaphoric sense, if our natural state is a state of health, then memela, a person who's not in a state of health is in exile, in the sense of they are not where they're supposed to be, not physically, but they are not in their natural state. And usually, again, this results from us, in the aspect of us being mekablim, being chaser. So he's setting up the connection between chassan and kala as synonymous as the yichud. As synonymous as the process of going from gullus into kula. These are not two different marachas. It's two different ways of expressing the same thing. When the chassan and finally is coming together with the kala, so then from the aspect of the kala who is alone, aluva kala, azuva, without the aspect of mashpia, and again we're using that as a symbol, but it means in every aspect of life where we the mekablim are lacking the R of fill in the blank, whatever it is that we're lacking. Memela, so let's read it inside again. Ukevai ha'ar, when that light comes down, which is the aspect of the mashpia, harezu avurai keguula pratis mamish. This is the experience of redemption. This is the experience of returning to the natural state. Al kach amar David Melech alav hashalom, and this is what David said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ki imcha mekar chayim. Because with you, Ribbon Shalom, is the Makar Chaim, meaning Hashem, you're the Mashpia. And Ba'archa, when your light comes down into our lives, Gevalt Nirabar. So our lives are filled with the spirit of redemption. We see the light in the most literal sense, meaning we come out of the pit, we come out of the bar, the bar of gullus, the bar of exile. Geula sheyasaida ava v'dveikus. This is the geula that is bound up with love and with dveikus. Ukadugma simchazu kein hukam b'Shabbos Kodesh. This is exactly what's happening on Shabbos. Now in Chanami, like we said before, that's why it gets a bit confusing. The way he presented it is that we're the chassan and Shabbos is the kala. In Chanami, there's truth to that. But klape HaKodesh Baruch Hu, certainly Am Yisrael are the kala, and so it's like a trifold geula that's taking place all around. Shabbos is having its geula vis-a-vis Am Yisrael bringing our or to Shabbos, and in that very same moment, in the aspect of all bechinas, aspects of mekabel, whether it's Shabbos klape Am Yisrael or Am Yisrael klape Kodesh Baruch Hu, there is yichudim that are taking place. Memela, there is geula that is taking place. That's what Shabbos is. Ukedugmas simchazu. Kein hu gam b'Shabbos Kodesh. Yasis alayich elikoyich. Kimtzeis chasen al kala. Hashem rejoices over us like a chasen rejoices over his bride. Ki ba'osim regaim shel knisa Shabbos, in these moments of Shabbos coming into our reality. Mesyachadem imei achol v'hachulim. The days of Chol and Chulin, which again, in their relative framework, are going to be the aspect of Mekabel, right? Mekabel. They're Kalim. They don't have any of their own or. They're mundane. They're full of Hester and Evichule. In Nesek Oiram, which is our Shabbos, which we make reference to as the Mashpia vis-a-vis the 6 days of the week in L'chadaidi, in the words Kihi Mekara Bracha. Memela Shabbos is it gets confusing, but the way that we're explaining it is it's not there's nothing set, there's nothing rigid. It's all true, because fundamentally it's just the manner of bechinos, of aspects in which the aspect of receiver, as it shows up everywhere, is having a yichud with the aspect of mekabel, as it shows up everywhere. And so far we mentioned 3 aspects. Shabbos vis-a-vis Am Yisrael is the mekabel vis-a-vis the mashpia. Am Yisrael vis-a-vis HaKadosh Baruch Hu are the mekabel vis-a-vis the mashpia. Oh, there's another element now too. The 6 days of the week vis-a-vis Shabbos are the mekabel vis-a-vis the mashpia, and
both Because Shabbos is also mekabel from the 6 days of the week.
There's an aspect of that too.
That's a terech b'Shabbos, yechad b'Shabbos.
Mamish.
Because Shabbos is the 7th day after the 6 days, so on the other hand, Shabbos is the first day of the following week. So.
Nachon ma'od. And that adds another element of confusion. That's the aspect Rav Tzaddik brings us, I believe, in his first mimer on Shabbos. He has a bunch of very long mimarim on Shabbos right in the beginning of Pri Tzaddik, which maybe we'll get to at some point. There's a lot to learn, and we have to do the whole Sefer Sidur Shel Shabbos. A person literally could spend their whole life just learning Shabbos. Literally, there's so much. There is so much, and we'll get to it. Not in a rush. Exactly. We'll have an eternity of Shabbos to learn about this thing, this soul, this concept. But Reb Tzaddik over there brings that this is the aspect of Sheishas Yamim Tavad V'Siska Kam Lachtecha V'Yom HaShvi Shabbos L'Hashem L'Kecha. Says Reb Tzaddik, it's mevur in the pasuk that these two things have a connection in relation to the nature of our avodah during the 6 days of the week. Sheishas Yamim Tavad V'Siska Kam Lachtecha Memela V'Yom HaShvi Shabbos L'Hashem L'Kecha. That's how much Shabbos is the Shabbos. And then there's also the aspect that, like we just said, that Shabbos is Ki Mekara Bracha. Says the Redemptive of Rav, we could be in a different place. We could be Miyashiv the steers in Gemara. One Gemara, and it seems that it was already paskin by Mordechai ben David, is that just one Shabbos and we'll all be free. So in Chanami, it's already we paskin. But there's Yerushalmi that says no. Actually, Shtei Shabbos. So which one is it? It says Gedushas.
One after the other.
It says Gedushas Levi. It's one thing. Because in as much as we do one Shabbos correctly, it will be mashpia on the week to come. And Memela, the next Shabbos is Mekabel what the week is.
By the way,
so he says, Memela, all you need, and that's why Mordechai ben David, for sure, Mordechai ben David is paskening this Berditchever, meaning, right? So just one Shabbos and we'll all be free. But it says in the Yerushalmi, 2 Shabboses, he says the same thing. Because in as much as Am Yisrael shtel avek mamish, one Shabbos kara'ui, it sets up a chain reaction that l'chayra never ends, unless something catastrophically horrible happens. But nothing ever ends because it pumps up your week, and your week is Shabbosdik, and Gevald. After a Shabbosdik week, you come into Shabbos, and Shabbos is so much more. And then from that Shabbos, and this is how it goes. Tzadikim ein lahem menucha la ba'olam hazeh v'la ba'olam haba k'dechsiv yelchu mechayil el chayil. That's it. Yeah.
No. Nothing. Sorry.
What a that's wow.
Sorry for the climax.
Can make a shachianu on. Wow, that's.
Mohammed said, "Let them come and join us too." Who's them? Is it the days of the week?
I know we turned them into a paisik, but I'm not sure if we're going to die like a pasuk, like a rishon.
You mentioned
yeah.
2 Shabboses. You could say, I think I saw it somewhere. There is the Gashmas Dika Shabbos, the Shabbos of the week.
Yes.
But then there is Shabbos within us.
Mm-hmm.
So when we keep Shabbos, if just one Shabbos
is Memela 2 Shabbos.
And Shabbos within us.
Yes.
So those are the 2 Shabbos.
Yes. Es Shabsoisai Tishmayru. That's the tzaddikim say. Shabsoisai, 2 bechinas of Shabbos. And there are many different interpretations. So Shabsoisai. Yeah, right. Which has 2 aspects. By the way, Zachar. Yes. Also, every time the Torah speaks plural about Shabbos is relating to all these different aspects. Just once you bring up Zachar and Shamar, which we've mentioned many times in the earlier shiurim before we got into the Kodesh, which took us a very long time. But before that, there were some. I don't know if you can go back and get to them, but those shiurim were some of the best in the series. I really think those early shiurim, huge siyata d'shmaya with them, a lot of chidushim. But over there we spoke about Zachar v'Shamar being in and of themselves the aspects of Mashpia and Mekabel. Quite literally. Zachar, the word Zachar is male, right? That's the root of the word Zachar, right? Which we learned subsequently in the concept of Zoicher Kedusha Secha when we spoke about Ana B'Kayach, that what does Zecher mean? Even the concept of Zecher is a Gilui. It's something, it's Mashpia, it's something new, right? And Shamar is passive. Shamar just means it's not active. La'avda ule shamra. La'avda is the shirish for all mitzvahs asay. Shamra is mitzvahs loiseh. The mitzvahs loiseh sheva al taseh. It's not doing. So that itself is the aspect of Mekabel. So if we weren't confused that Shabbos itself is both. How is Shabbos itself both? This is exactly what we're saying. It's Mekabel from the days of the week. It's the b'china of Shamar and Gewalt. It's Zachar because it's mashpia. Now, just one second. Just add one more nekuda. The last nekuda is, and this is taka very deep, kedai to say, that the soid, and this, what I'm about to say can't even be said accurately. So I'm just going to say it, and then lefum kol chad lefum man b'shar believe. Based on everything that we've said now, the Maimer Chazal that tells us Shamar v'Zachar b'dibor echad means that pnimius, in the deepest reality, hainu hach. It's mamish, not just hainu hach. Oh, that Shabbos is two things. The mashpia is the makabel. The makabel is the mashpia. That's the aspect of the, again, forgive the words, the genderless nature of the Ar of Keser, which is itself the light of Malchus, relative to different frameworks. It's ba'im ka'achas. That's why we say Keser yitnu l'cha Hashem Elokeinu. The aspect of yitnu l'cha Keser melucha. Keser melucha is Keser Malchus. It happens really at once, and that's really the Ar of Shabbos, which is the Ar of Keser, which is the Ar of Malchus, which is the Ar of both, because it's the Ar of the realization that Am Yisrael and Kodesh Baruch Hu are in this symbiotic relationship where our giving to Hashem, our taking from Hashem is in and of itself our giving to Hashem. Because the Gemara says, that more than the calf wants to nurse, the mother wants to give. So the giving is receiving. The receiving is the giving. And without getting into the depth of this is what's called, in Chabad Sfar much more, this is what's called the concept of shashua. That's related to Atik Yoimin, to that aspect of Keser. Shashua is shin ayin. It's this doubled over pleasure where you melt into one another, so to speak, in the sense that it's echad tachlis hayichud. So that and hold on, let's just let that settle for that. That's a big mouthful. That's a huge mouthful, and I of course none of this was planned to speak out, but you see how things develop as a chabura. What I just said now, I think, is the true pnimius shoirish of the fact that then in the outer garment, so to speak, of this concept, Shabbos shows aspects of being both Mekabel and Mashpia to the point of differentiation, where we can separate the two. Sure, it's Mekabel from that part of reality the week before, and it's Mashpia to that part. But the Shirish is that there are no parts and there are no holes, and that's what the Bechina of Shabbos is that the Shechina is Kodesh Baruch Hu is Shechinte, and that's the Yom Shekule Shabbos.
Because the fact is, like, Kodesh Baruch Hu himself can only be a mashpia, and if he can only be a mashpia, then how can he create a reality where there's a makabel? Because it's self-contradictory.
Yeah, right. And so Shabbos is the reality that it's that again we don't have words to really explain this. We could just talk around it, and then you just from that place you sort of like get to the hot top of the mountain, and then you look up. The staircase ends at a certain point. You run up against the limitations of our mind to grasp how something that's dual is really one, but at the same time it's dual, but it's one, and that's the shirish of
that's zugis.
Yes, exactly. Which are be'etzem one, right? And this is the shirish of all the paradoxes of Yediyah and Bechira. So which one is it? What's the answer? Both. But not both, just silence. Not both, and not even one, because both. So Shamar v'Zachar b'diborach, in a way that the human mouth could never say. Should know that I just gave a shiur on a lot of this. I don't know if maybe some of you saw it on a little sort of paper. I don't know what else to call a little essay, but it was like
settle cotton.
Yeah, and 3 something. Yeah, but it's not really directives, but it's just 3 pages. Mamish. Hashem opened my neshama earlier this week, and one morning I just sat down and I just wrote it. Mamish came out of the blue. I was sitting with Chavrusa and we talked out some of these inyanim, and right after that I sort of cleared my schedule. That's what I saw you, and I couldn't stop for a second because it was I don't want to tamper with it. It was good. It was good. It was flowing. But then later that day I had the privilege to give a shiur, and I asked the people to give the shiur to whether they'd rather me give this over or to do the regular material, and they chose to give that over. And so it's on YouTube, and it's
And you put it on the group.
and I put it on the group, and I think it's kedai. I think it's kedai. Really, it's like sort of 45 minutes, and then the end is conversation around it. You can listen on 2 times speed, and 20 minutes, you're in and out. But I think a lot will be gained. I think the way that I see it is I can't really say this in the fullest extent, because like I point out right in the beginning of the document, there's a lot that I left out. There are many other aspects that I would have loved to also add, but I wasn't writing a whole thesis. I was just trying to write certain nekudas. That document is the sum total of 10 years of learning, pretty much. I could accurately say that 10 years of being shokeah and these svarim and panimias, I think produced that document. So I think it's kedai to take 20 minutes, 10 years. It's a good deal. Save you some time. Anyway, so that's so over there we speak a lot more about this concept of duality and achdos and the concept of emes being echad, sheker being shtayim, the illusion, but the necessity to still be human and be conscious of that reality, but still maintain our separateness. And when we get into many, it's very klali. It's a huge hekif. We speak about the Beis Medrash of Chaim Volozhin. We speak about the Beis Medrash of the Baal Shem. We speak about the innovation of Rabbi Nachman and how these are 3 different stages and realms. V'chule. So, just
now the Pocket Watch story makes more sense.
What's that?
The Pocket Watch story with the Naaman Melech of Musaf makes more sense.
To stay grounded.
Yeah,
sure.
Because time is duality. It's because it's linear for us, but we're not really linear. So
That's
it's
right. It's part of our illusory reality of duality, right? Meaning, because keep on remembering, every time we speak about duality, you have to remember the Maimer Chazal that says Miot Rabim is Shtayim, right? And that's why Hebrew is so deep, because the word the word Shtayim actually means Shtayim, but Rabim could mean 2. And Kolzman that it's not 1, you add a Yud Mem at the end. So, and according to the Gemara, and this comes up in many different places, Miot Rabim Shtayim. Right, so once you say 2, it can mamish mean 2. It could also mean 2 trillion, because a rabim is, and so that's very deep. It's a good Pesach in Pnimis HaTorah. The minute that you go from echad to 2, it's not just now there are 2. It means now you're in the realm of duality. Now there could be any number of contrasts, many of which we list over there, and so you have to ayin sham to. I'm not going to go through that whole thing now, but it's Chaz Hashem, huh?
Where is this?
The shiur.
The what that you just...
on YouTube. And I'll send the document to anybody who wants.
Okay.
I think it's kedai to do it with the shiur.
See the document.
Why are we
Yes.
here one?
Yes, huh?
So why are we
Why are we here? So I'm happy to send the actual PDF, but the PDF is written very tersely. That's why it took me 45 minutes to read through it, and I'm adding and sort of explaining it a bit more.
I don't think you can listen to it to
1.75, maybe 1.5.
Me listening, you can chew.
Yeah.
That I thought shashua means like playful, almost like in like a rebellious sense. It's like the Haben Yaakov
Yeah.
Shashuim.
So
Yeled Shashu.
and Yeled Shashuim, he's a delightful. It's translated as a delightful child.
Okay, fine.
I think it means delight.
Shashuai.
Shashuai, so over there, I don't think it means. You might be talking about the aspect in which a child is beloved because he's mischievous, like a twinkling in the eye. Yeled Shashuim could be the aspect of he's so cute because he's doing something mischievous.
One of them interprets it that way, but maybe that's not
Can be.
the main shah.
It can be, but I think that's just because it's in the context of Yeled Shashuim. But we wouldn't say the same thing of Luli Saras Chashashuai, that if your tire wasn't like mischievously cute, which is also true. Anyway, but okay. Let's finish this paragraph and then we'll call it a night. And then, we're going to have to take a 3-week or 4-week break because I'll be in the States for Pesach, and then we'll come back, the Yeser Seis of Yeser Uz. But Ezra Hashem, let's finish up here. So that's what's happening. The 6 days of the week, which is the aspect of Mekabel, are coming together in Mesek Oiram Ora Shabbos. Avanase Yichud Kutcha B'Richu Shchinti Shekein Yichud HaOlam Es B'Yom Zeh Who a simcha b'elyonim of tachtainim. That's why Shabbos is the day of simcha. You ask, why is Shabbos a day of simcha? Why is a wedding an event of simcha? I mean, whatever the answer is there, and hopefully it's a really strong, high, redemptive one. Meaning, what brings us joy is again, it's not the shmorg. What brings us joy is gewalt. The world is coming closer to redemption. Like, what do we care about? An old conversation with somebody earlier this morning about emotions and intellect and can we control our emotions, or should we channel our emotions? Like if you're feeling something, you're feeling it. It's like, what does that mean? And I was explaining to him based on the Tanya says, I believe in Parak Gimel or Parak Daled, right in the beginning, the concept of moyach shalit al halev. Also speaking about this a little bit, I have this group. It used to be the Tehillim, not really Tehillim group, but the update group for Amichai Eliyahu, for our was Tinok. So there I send a few times a week. I try if you're still on it. It's actually very precise. It has to be 6 minutes and 50 seconds if you haven't noticed. Precisely because my phone for some reason cuts off the recording at that time. So I've learned the art of getting in an idea. I don't know what the sides of it are. I'm sure there are. In exactly 6 minutes and 50 seconds. A pellet. Anyway, so it's a good skill to learn. Like if you have to give speeches in shul or something. So if you can pack an idea into 6 minutes 50 seconds, not so bad. But anyway, so we're speaking over there, basically in the Sefer Achshar Savreichim, a lot about this idea also. A lot about this idea of using the moyach to inspire and awaken our emotions, to deepen our emotions. The concept of dinyan, using our imagination or visualization, hasagas, in a very specific way. The more you understand, the more you're going to feel.
Yeah.
So the Baal Tanya gives a mashal, and I just put it in more, modern idiom. If you have a person who's a 60-year-old, grandfather who's walking down the street and he wanted to have an ice cream. Not so common, but anyway, for one reason or another, Alavai, that people would take themselves less seriously. Like, you could have an ice cream cone even if you're a 60-year-old grandfather. And walking down the street, imagine, a very respectable Golders Green balabas licking an ice cream cone like a little child, Alavai, one day. And, because why not, right? And so he's licking an ice cream cone.
You can't get good ice cream.
What's that?
You can't get good
Oh yeah,
ice
you can. You don't know where to go.
So, and let's say he slips or whatever it is, and he drops it on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously, it's clear that he's not going to have a tantrum, right? He's not going to start laying down on the floor and kicking and screaming. He'll probably yell at his wife when he gets home. No kidding, but he's not. That's certainly not on Golders Green Road. He's not outside the cleaners over there on the floor. Screaming and pounding the floor with his fist, right? To a 4-year-old, though, dropping an ice cream cone is mamhish. It's the end. It's the end. And from the adult perspective, like, it's not bewildering why he would throw a tantrum, because he's 4. And meaning, relative to his understanding of what this world is and what's good and what's bad, in his little kleine kep, it's mamish the worst thing, because this is what Taka made him the happiest, and now he lost it, so it makes him the saddest. The 60-year-old, I hope, has deeper hasagas of what makes him happy, what makes him sad. Some of them, okay, drop the thing. It's a bit annoying, but like it's this is not.
It goes back to.
It adds up, yeah. I think 60 is a good cutoff. And a 75-year-old is probably throwing. No, I'm kidding. Right? Chas v'shalom. We said Yelcha Michael Ochel. But the more our moyach expands, memelo, what's happening, the more our feelings are growing. And so it's the same thing over here. Again, you ask, why is Shabbos happy? Why is a chassid happy? And I'll say something a bit sharp now. We want everybody to be happy on Shabbos. And I mamish think that what I'm about to say is emes, even though it's hurtful. And it's lo na'im la'agid, not so nice to say. The people who get excited at a wedding because of the shmorg are the people who get excited on Shabbos because of the scotch and the Kodesh, and it's the same chever. Meaning, it's true across the board. Our hasagas in one area are reflective of how either expanded or chas v'shalom limited our hasagas. Meaning, the same people who are talking on a b'kayach, so to speak, are the same people who are talking during a chuppah. And are the same people who fill in the blank in every other aspect of life, don't have a sense for the sensitivity. Don't have the sense and sensitivity for the realm of the holy, for the realm of that which is there's another word I'm looking for, holy or the realm of the sacred. Yeah, I think sacred. I think so. The realm of the sacred. What was that? You? Okay, I've heard it. A British accent coming from that. The realm of the sacred. They don't have a sense for the realm of the sacred, and it's a huge chaval. It's a huge chaval, because how much more would they enjoy the chuppah? They would just shut up. Forgive me. How could you talk? I said even speeches I mentioned in a previous year. I'm not sure it's time by chuppah. Words. So because you make it so cheap when it becomes a social gathering, because it may as well be Hendon Park. Why not? While your kids are running around in the swing set. So what's the chilik? Yeah. But there's a chilik. It's a chuppah. How could you not be woken up to history that's being made here? Can't you hear the whisperings of all future generations? Can't you hear the tears falling of all the Babas and Zaydas of all previous diaries who davened for Can't you hear the footsteps of Mashiach? Mayafe Ragli Mavasar. And the answer is if Chaver aren't, I'll use the word woke, aren't awake to that, then across the board, how could they feel Pesach? It's the same Chaver by the Seder. It's the same thing. Don't have a sense for the moment. Yom Kippur, all the aspects of the sacred, that realm, whether it's holy places, the same thing, holy places, Kippur Tzadikim, or holy times, or around holy people. It's a certain sensitivity that that it's not. I don't believe at all in this aspect of nature. It's something you nurture. You know why? Because we all have it by nature. We're Yidden. We're a nation of Rahman and Baishanim Gam Chasadim. We are a dynamic, sensitive, spiritual people. Our task is to nurture that flame, and to wipe off the dust. May afar kumi, right? To wake up, to shake off the dust, to sairi, kumi, oiri, right? And to rise and shine, which is a phrase that really comes from Lechadaidi, right? Rise and shine, kumi oiri. That's what it means, right? To rise and shine. And this is really what we're hoping now. And just imagine, because it's good to imagine. Because it's just a matter of if, not when. But it relies on all of us doing this work in and of ourselves and speaking this language to others. 1 second. This whole thing is possible for every member of Am Yisrael, men, women, bachrim, bacharot, to experience. And if the whole frum world lived in this way, and it was apparent, because it will become apparent to gentle, sensitive, deep people. You know how easy it would be to do kiruv? You know how easy it would be? You know how attractive of a community we'd be? Deep, sensitive, spiritual, mamish spiritual people who integrates the life of monastic spirituality into the pragmatic nitty-gritty of day-to-day. What that would do for us, and Mamela, if that activated all of Am Yisrael, could you imagine what then we'd do for humanity? That's my vision. That's got to be our vision. And we could get there. We will get there. And sometimes, sometimes, it's not me saying this. The Navi Malachi says this again. It's one of the big chavals that we don't learn Navi. It's just like the girls learn Navi. It would really do us well to read the prophets, to read the Nevi'im. You take a look at Malachi, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Daled Hey, right in the beginning. The Navi Malachi says, and it's Hashem speaking through the Navi Malachi. He says, go take a lesson from the Umay Sa'olam, he says. B'chol makoim mukdar mugash l'shmi. Shmi gadol b'goyim. Look. And look at the Mefarshim over there. They say it open. Look at the Radak over there, the Mitzudas David. Take a look at the Maralbim. They all say. When the Umay Sa'olam, and Rabbi Nachman says this so deep, he says it. That's why I was looking over there in the Mefarshim. Halavai, that I should have a Seder in Malachi. I was looking over there because Rabbi Nachman says something so radical. I won't ruin it for you. Take a look over there. Spoiler alert, Taran and Vav. He says something shocking about that pasuk mamish that he needs a lot of Yeshiva Das to understand. But the Mefarshim say that the Ummos HaOlam, when they serve even their gods, Rabbi Nachman says, even when they're being Oived Avodah Zarah, they're really serving Hashem. So, what does that mean? Very deep. Okay, take a look, Ayin Sham over there. But when they bring karbanis, according to some Mefarshim, to the Beis HaMikdash, they mamish do it. And Am Yisrael, Hashem says, and you were just, what are you doing? And for that reason, both the Christians and the Muslims, liminehem, in their own unique ways, in their own scripture, lahavdil elef avdos, in their own writings, look at the historicity of the Jewish nation and say, you've lost it. You've lost it. You have not gotten your act together. And you know something? They're right. And beyond that, not only are they right because this is what it says in their scripture, they're right because this is what it says in our scripture. Because take a look at the Navi Yirmiyahu, and take a look at Yechezkel, and take a look at all the Nevi'im, and all of them are saying the same thing. What's the fundamental difference? Is that they really don't understand the concept of what it means to be B'ni B'chayri Yisrael. They really conveniently leave out, and then they have other ways of explaining away. The whole Sefer Devarim was added later, Chas v'shalom v'chulei. The whole Sefer Devarim is very, very clear that no matter how much Am Yisrael will rebel, which was already built into the narrative, Meirosh, but I mean, these are open psukim. Like, what are you going to do, Christians? This is an open verse. So they'll list you all the psukim in Yirmiyahu that speak about Am Yisrael being such a wayward people, and how could we, which, like, cool, you're right. It's true, and we have to be able to say that. With all of our Mikamcha Yisrael, we have to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, Avraham, like Eighth Day sings, are we the children that you dreamed of? You know, we have to ask ourselves that. We must. We must. And if we understand that in as much as we are being what we're supposed to be, in direct correlation, the world is fixed, then look around at the world and you'll figure out what the resounding answer is. The answer is no. No. And it hurts, but it's also hopeful. Because Yirmiyahu was right, and all the Nevi'im were shouting the same things for thousands of years. Yeshayahu HaNavi. What do I need your frumkeit? Just putting it again in modern terms. What do I need all your karbanis for? You say all the right things. Livam richak mimeni. That's not Yashka. That's Yeshayahu. That's the Baal Shem. I mean, this is so we gotta wake up. We could do it. And in doing it, then we manifest this reality that at the end of the day, we have a bris with the Kodesh Baruch Hu that's Chas v'shalom never been broken just because we've been wayward. Lehepech, it demonstrates the strength of the bond. That despite all of this, uv'chol zois lo yishachachnu, and no, al tishkachenu, which we know is not possible. Lama lanetzach tishkachenu tazveinu la'oirech yamim hashivenu Hashem elecha v'nashuva shuvo elai v'shuva aleichem. These are also psukim that are all conveniently, I'm telling you, I look into these things, left out by the Christians and the Muslims. The Muslims, it's a different story. Islam is very interesting. Christianity is a whole separate thing. Islam is very fascinating. Different interpretations of what exactly they hold. Okay. But the Christians, I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Conveniently leaving out the primary narrative of the Old Testament. Come on. But we have work to do. We mamish have work to do.